So you hang out in philosophical, spiritual, creative circles long enough, and at some point you're going to be privy to some form of the debate of materialism, a belief in science, empiricism, so-called analysis alone, versus a gnostic sense of understanding, or, this theory that consciousness is a priori of the physical brain matter, or this or that, or also the noetic experience, which William James talked about and named, but so many others have also commented on, researched, inquired about, from the ancient sages, philosophers, and mystics to, modern day neuroscientists. And from, the discussions I've had anecdotally, as well as reading I've done across a wide array of, materialist philosophers to mystical sages to, neuroscientists and scientists, like Donald Hoffman is, probably one of the more interesting ones right now, who are bridging the two purviews in a whole new and fascinating way, and kind of uniting them in a rigorous but very insightful way. I think it's, the older I get, the more it hits home, in the sense that, they say youth is wasted on the young. And in many ways in my own life, I'm just starting to more appreciate that. Because, you need a certain amount of perspective to have a change of heart about things, or just to see things from a longer purview. I've always loved Thornton Wilder's Our Town. And there's this line that Emily, says at the end, when the specter of her has come back to Earth and is observing, the humans that she was taken from too soon. She goes, "We all know that something is eternal, and it ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't Earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows in their bones that something is eternal, and that something has to do with human beings. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it?" And for me, I read that and I think, oh, it's consciousness itself is what she's talking about. Beyond, it's not the human being, the form, it's the indescribable beingness of consciousness itself that we come to know through human body form. We live in a world where people, especially the uninitiated or the skeptical, or I would actually say the cynical, because if you're truly a skeptic, you're just asking questions and you're open to proof. A cynic is one who thinks they know, and which is why Nietzsche said that the spiritualist and the atheist are wrong, only the agnostic really knows. And I do sort of just subscribe to that. I can know something on a spiritual Gnostic level via my own direct experience through spiritual inquiry or practice, that I would never, in the manifest plane of reality, make an argument is, quote, capital T, truth, even if I believe that internally so, to someone else, because we don't yet necessarily have all the tools at our disposal to empirically prove said thing. But there's a lot of things in science that are also a mystery, as evidenced by sometimes the most sophisticated scientist I've talked to. Shout out to Rudy, Mr. Oxford-trained physicist, who once over tea told me, the more deeply he pursued a lot of scientific questions and problems, the more questions emerged. And if I'm paraphrasing here, the more he believed in some kind of mystery or order, because these questions weren't answering themselves through logic and reason alone. And there's quotes from Einstein, lots of different people that comment on this, but something I happened upon recently, which is just very plain language for, how do we rigorously, so without being airy-fairy, without applying quantum, mechanics in a way that is a bit delusional or whimsical or unattached from, serious thinking, but also still remaining ultimately open to the mystery and to the fact that we don't know what we don't know. Like most physicists, I learned how to ignore the weirdness of quantum physics. Shut up and calculate was the dictum of the American physicist David Mermin. It works fine if you are trying to get 100% on your advanced quantum theory homework or building a laser, but behind quantum mechanics' unequaled calculational precision lie profound, stubbornly persistent questions about those quantum rules, about what those quantum rules imply, about the nature of reality, including our place in it. And that's Adam Frank from Minding Matter. So, like in all things, question your assumptions.